So I don't listen to interviews of artists that had no value in what they say. I don't listen to music from people that I can't get no game from.
Are you the smartest one in your team?
Definitely not. I might be the dumbest one. Name of the brand obviously is the marathon. It just stands for endurance. It stands for staying down. It stands for like not quitting, accepting the ups and downs of whatever game you commit yourself to and riding it out, because that's the reality of success or greatness, that it come with a roller coaster ride. I think that anybody could apply the marathon concept to what they do, if it's sports, if it's fashion, if it's music, if it's hustling, whatever. You on a marathon, you know, so. You gonna lay in the bed you make. You're not gonna get away with nothing in terms of the energy. You know what I mean? You might beat the camera or the police. They might not catch you for what you're doing, but the energy is always gonna return to you. So when you just living in this cycle of being negative all day and just putting out negativity and that's the only energy you putting out, it's gonna return to you in a different form than you put it out in. So I would just say, you know, master your energy. Do your best to master your energy and what you put out, you know, and unless that's what you want. You know, because you entitled to whatever you want to create, whatever experience you want to create for yourself. But if you're tired of that shit, adjust the energy.
If I sit there and have to face myself and tell myself, you're a failure, I think that's almost worse than death.
Make sure you putting out quality work.
Come on.
Put your life into it. Don't expect people to support you just because you do it. This is not a cheerleader.
8th grade, I tried out for drama club. I got in and got kicked out within an hour because she said I was too hyper. 9th grade, they wouldn't let me join band class because I couldn't read music. But I still had the passion, and I'm on 2 instruments now, picking up a 3rd. But when all that happened, I said, fuck them. I didn't let none of that shit stop me from doing anything that I wanted to do.
Just try to tell people to just think for themselves, and they'll be way happier in the long run.
If you want to acquire something, if there's some goal that you want to reach, that is really not easy as some people will make us feel. That living your dream, changing your behaviors, overcoming negative habits, it's challenging. It's hard. That living alone is just very difficult. And once we begin to come to grips with the fact that living is difficult, life is very challenging. I heard a song once by a guy named Dimples called, "If it ain't one thing, it's another." I say to you, if it ain't one thing, it's 12 others. Always something. You will never ever have a problem-free moment in life. Somebody said, and I like this, that you either in a problem or just left one or headed toward one. Anybody found that to be so? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, there's always something. So how do we begin to nurture that hunger? What are the characteristics or the qualities of people that are hungry? What will it take for me to get some of the things that I want? And being hungry for those things. Number one, you've got to work on yourself. It's very important that you engage in an ongoing process to develop you. Spend more time on yourself than what you've been spending. It's very important. You owe that to yourself. I was reading a book by Og Mandino called The University of Success. Read one line, gave me a chill. I didn't have to read anything else in the book. He said, many of us never realize our greatness because we become sidetracked by secondary activity. We spread ourselves too thin, don't know how to say no. And we find ourselves doing all kinds of things and never ever have time to do those things that we need to do to work on ourselves. And then there goes a second, there goes another second, there goes another second, and we can't stop and hold time. And before you know it, you wake up one day and you're behind in your dreams.
There are blocks that are sometimes placed on us from our parents or from our surroundings. Know that you have to believe that you can feel unblocked. Because you're giving it power by acknowledging, like, I'm blocked. You're putting that out in the universe. Remember, like what we said, the sayings that people live by that you've heard. What goes around comes around. What you get is what you give. Those are real things. And you subconsciously, and that subconscious mind is just as powerful as the conscious one. When you say, I'm feeling blocked, or man, I'm down bad. You know, I've heard people just say all these things that they put on themselves, like, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. So, okay, imagine if you're in front of the universe and God, And he's like, whatever you say, I'm gonna give back to you. Like, whatever you say, I'm gonna give it back to you. So you sitting up here like, I can't figure it out, man. I can't make money. I can't do this. I can't do, you know, I feel like it's like, even when I did feel blocked, and if I did think that, I never owned it. And I'd be like, no, okay, I gotta switch that. I gotta feel better. So the first key to unblocking something is acknowledging that you are blocking yourself.
In this clip, we hear Big Sean describe how to stay motivated as a rapper by remembering arguably the main thing that defines rappers, the power of their words. That ability to speak truth into existence is one of the keys.
We all have 24 hours, all right? What makes some of us average, makes some of us good, some of us great, is not the family you was born into, right? It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with your socioeconomic status. It has everything to do with how you command your life. So if you have a bad day, which is no such thing of, it doesn't exist, you had a bad moment and you were so immature that you let that moment dictate the rest of your day, right? And y'all not kids no more. I don't do elementary school, right? I don't do elementary school because they really, a fifth grader, if I'm talking to a third grader, fourth grader, fifth grader, kindergartner, I don't care what I tell them, they're not at a place of maturity where they can switch their mindset. They're kids, you grown. And some of you are grown, but you're still a child. And you brag about how you're an adult. You're only an adult because of your age. You're not an adult because you command your life. You're an adult because of your age. And that's not what makes adulthood. You're not an adult because you are 18 years old, you're 25, 26. If you still kept catching temper tantrums, you still getting attitudes, that means you're not an adult in that area. That means that particular area controls you.
Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. Once you put away your phones and your computers and all that we have nowadays, yeah, that's great. We're up to date. But your brain is the only thing you have when you're going through depression, when you're going through hard times, when you're going through death, real life. You can't Google that, man. You're alone. You're alone. You may have a shrink you're going to, you may have a best friend you're going to, but there's 24 hours in the day where you're alone in this brain, and your brain is talking to you in all kinds of ways, and it wants to control you and pull you in these different pockets. If you can't control your own brain and your brain controls you, you got to tell your brain where you want to go and how you want to go and how you want to get there. You got to control it. If not, it's over. What existed for me was, okay, man, how am I going to make this work? And all I knew back then was hard work. The only way anything gets accomplished. That's all I heard back in those days. You gotta work hard. You gotta work hard. I'm not getting I can't get this paragraph. I can't remember what the f***'s in this paragraph to pass this test to get in the military. Read it again. Still not getting it. Read it again. But if you're not getting it, write it out. And that's how I started learning. Okay, well, I gotta write out everything I do. And then write it out again, and write it out again. And guess what happened? I got it. I can't swim, I'm negative buoyant. Go back again. I can't swim, go back again. Go back again, go back again. I got it. I realized if I keep going back and going back and going back until the just becomes, your mind will say, okay, we're gonna figure it out. Because he is not going to stop. It's not like I'm gonna try one more time. No, it's just like alarm clock goes off, boop, we're going back. I can't read right, we're going back. I gave myself no way out, and my mind realized that. They said, okay, we're gonna adapt and overcome now. Like a lot of people say, trying hard. Your mind knows, man. It knows this guy's bull. Me, man, this guy's lying. There's no truth behind it. When I was in Navy SEAL training, people go, how were you there for 18 months? The program was only 6 months long. You were in 3 hell weeks in 1 year. No one's ever done that. How did you do that? I talk about the new norm. When I lived in a $7 a month place when I was growing up for a short period of time, I loved it. I didn't know any different. That was my norm. Once we moved out of that place, we moved to a $236 a month place. I was like, I never want to go back to that little piece of shit.
Stop setting so many plays. Stop doing things only based in fear.
You don't learn a lot from doing things perfect. You learn a lot from things that could be considered a mess up or a screw up. Mistake. They say from a mistake. Not an L, it's a lesson.
Like, the universe will assist you when you are acting in love. I tweeted this thing where I said, when you're acting in love, you're like a drop of water and you have the ocean as your army. When you act in fear, it's just you.
Earlier, we were talking about operationalizing the effort, the calling to move from potential chaos to order. It starts with organizing one's physical space. If we were to, extend the rings of the bullseye out a little bit further, for people listening who are trying to figure out, like, where do they receive that calling? How do they find their calling? So responsibility and adventure being perhaps the compass through which we can, navigate there. So they think, like, well, where can they grab a hold of their responsibility and then, as a consequence of doing that, engage in adventure and have an impact that is good for them and good for the world? How do they find that?
I think there's very practical answers to those questions. So two of the highest order characterizations of the divine in the biblical library is calling and conscience. And you could think about those as integrated manifestations of positive and negative emotion. So imagine there's a pathway forward to your aim, okay? Your negative emotion tells you when you deviate from the pathway, and your positive emotion tells you when you're progressing along the pathway. Okay, now imagine that there's a voice of your integrated positive emotion, and there's a voice of your integrated negative emotion. Calling, that's what fills you with enthusiasm. And the root word of that is theos, right? Deos, that's God. Calling, conscience. Okay, so now that beckons you forward. So how do you find that? Some things bother you. Those are your problems. And you might think, I don't want to have any problems. It's like, no, you've got some problems. You can tell that because those things bug you. That's your conscience calling you to your destiny, those problems, okay? Calling, there's some things that interest you. Right? And you don't get to pick them exactly. They just sort of make themselves manifest, like the burning bush did to Moses, because that's an example. That's the symbolic representation of calling. It's the dynamism between calling and conscience that orients people upwards, right? That's the pillar of flame and the pillar of darkness that guides the Israelites across the desert when they're lost. Calling beckons. Conscience provides disciplinary limitations. That's a good way of thinking about it. So you can see that. Some things are good. You ask yourself, what bothers me about me? Okay, now you have a domain. You think, well, man, some of those things, I don't know how to fix them. Fine. Don't fix them. Fix some of the things you could fix. That we talked about that. Or make your goddamn bed in the morning. Like, you could do that. And it's like, you see people, their lives are so chaotic. Like, their living environment, every single bit of it is a catastrophic mess. Sometimes multiple generations deep. It's just chaos everywhere. It's like, where do you start dealing with chaos? Wherever you can. Put something in order by your own standards of order. And then see what happens.
Cut down the time that it took me to the thing that I learned at 30. I hope you can learn at 15 or 16. I just want you to be able to cut down I want you to be able to learn the lessons that can lead you to peace quicker. I know what life is like trying. I know what life is like when I say trying in this context in a bad way. I know what life is like to not be living in your peace and your comfort and your confidence. And I know what life is like to be living in your confidence. And you know what I mean? So it's like the time that it took me to get there on a more permanent basis, I flirted with it in my childhood and in my teens and in my 20s, but was never solidified in it. You know what I mean? It was always attaching it to something. But I think that's what I hope for them is like, yo, whatever comes after that is it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? As long as you feel at peace and comfortable and, you know, and that's really it. Like that would be the biggest blessing. Everything after that is a bonus. Once you just enjoy life on a content level, it's a bonus. I think there's two key ingredients. One is see yourself as high as you possibly can see yourself, right? So if someone wants to, like, be in the NBA, like they want to be an NBA player, to me that's not enough. There's a wide range of NBA players, right? There's an NBA player that never saw the floor. You know, he sat at the end of the bench his whole career, and they never re-upped his contract, and then he had to go fight in the G League, and boom, boom, boom. He was in the NBA. LeBron James is in the NBA. Who do you see yourself as? And there's no right or wrong answer. Clarify and define your vision for yourself in the highest possible way that you can see it. Do you want to be a 12-time All-Star? Do you want to be a league MVP? You know, you want to set the three-point shooting record? Be as specific and see yourself as high as you possibly can, right? That's your first job, is to see it as high as you can see it. Be delusional even, to the point where to where your mind, right at the apex of what your mind believes is possible, maybe push past that even a little bit and define it. And then number 2 is like, believe it. You know what I mean? Like see it all the time and believe it, and whatever you gotta do to protect that belief.
It may be success at your job. It may be a particular position in life. It could be a more harmonious family. Each of us wants something. Now write down on your card specifically what it is you want. Make sure it's a single goal and clearly defined. You needn't show it to anyone, but carry it with you so that you can look at it several times a day. Think about it in a cheerful, relaxed, positive way each morning when you get up. And immediately you have something to work for, something to get out of bed for, something to live for. Look at it every chance you get during the day and just before going to bed at night. And as you look at it, remember that you must become what you think about, and since you're thinking about your goal, you realize that soon it will be yours. In fact, it's yours really the moment you write it down and begin to think about it. Look at the abundance all around you as you go about your daily business. You have as much right to this abundance as any other living creature. It's yours for the asking. Now we come to the difficult part. Difficult because it means the formation of what is probably a brand new habit, and new habits are not easily formed. Once formed, however, it will follow you for the rest of your life.